things that Christ came back later and adjusted. I guess he recognized what's going to happen in the 21st century. People get so caught up in loving self that we forget to love God or others. We get so caught up in doing what we need to do to forget who we need to do it for. Folks, the whole concept that Christ is getting across to and trying to get across to us throughout his teachings is the very most important concept that we have is our love of God and the importance that it should have in our lives. It wasn't accidental that Christ used the two examples that he did. He used first a priest, who was what? For them, he was the arbiter of the Word of God to the people. The second was who? A Levite. Excuse me. Levite is which the family from which the priests come, but it was also back then basically the interpreters of the law. For them, folks, the law and the Word of God were synonymous. It should be for us today, too. We oftentimes today get so caught up in following or keeping or doing what is right according to law or society or others that we forget where our first allegiance lies, folks. It lies with God. Now, we've heard over the last few years in Luke period that we are a nation of what? We're a nation of law. That's a sad reality. Because at one time we were known as a nation of God. At one time we were the most religious country on the face of the earth. You know now that there are many countries that are sending missionaries here. We used to send missionaries and still do all over the world. But it's a sad scenario that now today there are those countries that send missionaries here. Because all too often we get so busy on doing what's right, we forget to do what we should do according to God. Now, missionary work is wonderful and great. And yes, there are places all over the world that need help. But if you want to see some place that needs a tremendous amount of help, drive around downtown Atlanta sometime, if you dare. Drive around downtown Chicago. Drive around downtown in any big city in this country and look at the thousands of homeless people, the thousands of people out on the streets, thousands of people that have actually lost all hope. Because in this great nation of ours, we're so busy going all over the world to do missionary work, we forget to do it right here in our own backyard. It's a sad scenario when the most prosperous, the most wealthy, the country that has the greatest resources in the world also has one of the highest rates of starvation of children. We don't think about that, do we? We don't want to think about that. Why? Because once we start thinking about it, if we come back to this story, which one of the three do we fit? Think about that a minute, folks. Because you can sit there and say, oh, I didn't see it. It's because you didn't want to see it. It just says the priest walked by on the other side. At least the Levite went over and looked at him. But he's stood on too. Folks, this is a story, a parable about behavior in the world today as much or more as it is about a story from the time of Christ. Because we have to actually make a concerted effort not to see some of this. What's so sad is that when's the last time, although particularly right now it's a tremendously growing number of people that are homeless, it's the last time you saw a news story about homeless people? They don't want to show it. They don't want us to stop and think about it because, folks, the minute we stop and think about it, we have to what? We have to do something about it. Or else we have to accept the fact that we're no better than the Levite or the priest. Every one of us wants to put ourselves where? As the Samaritan. The unfortunate reality is few of us are. We have the opportunity to. And it's a lot easier to sit back and say, okay, well, we contribute money to it. How much good would it have done if the Samaritan had left the guy laying there and went on to the inn and said, oh, well, if this guy gets here, here's some money for him? Would that have helped him? Would that have done any good whatsoever? One of the things that was pointed out to me very vividly and very pointedly when I was at Emory and we were doing work down in the downtown area every week. One of the guys said, yeah, y'all are here on holidays and special days. So where are you the rest of the time? It's great and wonderful to fix somebody a meal on Thanksgiving or Christmas. Makes us feel good. But there are 365 more days in the year that these people are hungry, that they're homeless. Many times through virtually no fault whatsoever of their own. It was one time said that over half the population of America is one payday from being evicted from their homes. What do you think happened to all those people and all the foreclosures that are out there? Where'd they go? They didn't just vanish, folks. Many of them became homeless. And yet we spend so much time worrying about so many other things. We forget that this story is not just a praise, it's a condemnation if we do not become the Samaritan.